Good evening, everyone. Welcome out to Suits for Seniors, a one-of-a-kind event celebrating EKU football. It is the fourth annual Suits for Seniors, second year that this event is now taking place at Chenault Vineyards, the beautiful Chenault Vineyards here behind me. And if you've never been before, you're really missing out. And for those that maybe have been before, can't come back this year, well, that's why we're here, for you to kind of hang out with us for the next hour. We're going to be here till around 6:30. We'll talk to several EKU alumni and EKU football players from the past that are coming back to kind of give back for this one-of-a-kind event. And if you haven't been a part of this event before, if you don't know what it is exactly about, 4 years ago, Coach Walt Wells and his wife, Jennifer, were trying to find a way to give back to their student athletes, because we know not every player is going to be able to go to the next level, which, by the way, there is a former EKU football player that will most likely hear his name in the NFL draft tonight, and a colonel that just graduated this past year, or will be graduating here in the next month, that will hear his name called probably tomorrow. Hopefully a few more as we go throughout the rest of the NFL draft weekend. But Jaden Higgins, former EKU wide receiver, will most likely have his name called tonight in the second round of the NFL draft. He was one of the top 15, 20 best players available still left in the NFL draft. Of course, he had transferred away, but will be coming back or will be going into the NFL draft at some point this evening. But as far as this event goes, again, not everybody will be hearing their name in the NFL draft, so Coach Wells and his wife wanted to give back to their student athletes and try to help set them up for the future, and that is where the event Suits for Seniors came. They decided to purchase suits for all of their juniors and seniors, and what they do is a reverse job fair, where essentially their student athletes wear the suits that were purchased courtesy of the Suits for Seniors event. They'll wear those to the job fair, and they'll talk to prospective bosses, or they'll talk to general managers. Courtesy, like there's Jack Burford Chevrolet. There's several businesses that come down and talk to these student athletes. And speaking of Jack Burford Chevrolet, we're hoping to talk to Zach Ferris, who now works at Jack Burford Chevrolet. He went through this process, Suits for Seniors, got the suit, and now he works at Jack Burford Chevrolet. Dakota Allen, same thing for him. He is at Jack Burford Chevrolet working, went through this process as well. And there have been others, Shane Burks, who got a job, Tucker Schroeder, guys that have gone through these first couple of years of Suits for Seniors and now have moved on. Their playing career is over, but they are so thankful for EKU for the suits. And these are very, very nice suits. We've got a video we're going to try to play here in a little bit. We'll get Gage and I working on that. But there's a lot of fun to be had tonight. And then tomorrow, the weekend will culminate with the annual spring game. So it's a very busy weekend. And, again, this event here tonight pays for the suits that are purchased for those upperclassmen that go through the reverse job fair. And then they'll take their suits home. They're customized suits, so they are made to fit, look very nice. And then the only thing that the kids have to purchase are the shoes. And Coach Wells talked about that with us a few weeks ago on the sports show when he said essentially shoes are very difficult to find. Some guys are very picky about their shoes, so we let them pick those out themselves. But we do help with the customized suits, courtesy of Cuff to Collar in downtown Richmond. If you've never been there before, they do a great job of getting you kind of spiffed up for it, whether it be a wedding, prom, or just a suit that you're looking to purchase yourself. And to that point, if you are watching this video and you're I'd like to get involved in this somehow. Well, there is a way. There is a link that I personally commented on the live stream that you're watching. If you're watching on the WBON-TV Facebook page, there is a live stream there, or a link on the live stream that you can click on, and you can take part in the event tonight if you are not here. You can purchase or bid on some of these silent auction items that are up for grabs. Some very nice items. We'll get into that here in just a few moments. But along with that, you can also purchase a suit for an EKU football player and be recognized by the program and EKU football coach, Walt Wells, for your support. Now, what that means is essentially the suit costs around $1,000 for each player. So by clicking on that link, you can go in there, fill out your information, donate the $1,000. That'll go towards a suit for an EKU football player as part of this Suits for Seniors event. Now, folks are going to be coming in here. The event will start around 6 p.m. tonight. We're coming at you live a little bit beforehand. Just going to set the stage for what all is taking place this evening. Of course, last year, being out here at Chenault Vineyards, Dawson Rule was with me. Of course, he no longer works with us as he's moved on to kind of bigger and better things up in North Carolina. But when Dawson and I were here, man, the packed house, the crowd was great, and the fun is just beginning here tonight. There's going to be a live auction here tonight as well. They do a reverse raffle for a $10,000 prize. I'm hoping that my name is called in that. And along with that, they also have some great food. I cannot wait to dig in on that. And they will be having a live band later on this evening as well. It's the same band that's been here the last few years. So a lot of fun. If you have never been here before, you're really missing out. You hang out with us until 6:30 this evening, and we'll show you what all you're missing, because there is a lot going on here at Suits for Seniors. And one of the things they've got out here tonight as well is a cigar lounge, a rolling leaf cigar lounge that is here this evening. So you can go out there, check out some different types of cigars, and maybe purchase one of those as well. So open bar, I mean, listen, everything is included in your ticket price. You're missing out tonight, but make plans to attend this thing next year. It is 2025 Suits for Seniors, and we're going to look now at some of the auction items that are going to be up for grabs courtesy of this event tonight. So the auction is already open. If you see that link on the stream, click on that. There's an Apollo's Pizza gift card. There's a ton of different gift baskets. There's a signed Tim Tebow Florida jersey from when he played at Florida, so that's on there to bid on as well. The check-in and scope-out live auction items during the cocktail hour, which will begin at 6 p.m. So about 15 minutes from now, the cocktail hour will begin. I've already got myself one, but you cannot get yours until 6 p.m. I consider them a little bit special. It pays to have friends, right, Gates? Pays to have friends here at Chenault Vineyards. Then at 7 p.m., you can enjoy a buffet-style dinner of ribeye steak, chicken, baked potatoes, and more side options as well. At 8:30, the live auction will begin. At 9:30, the online auction closes. So you've got until 9:30 to get on and bid on some of those silent auction items. We'll talk about those here in just a few minutes. The final raffle draw will take place at 9:30, and then throughout the night, enjoy an open bar, cigars, and other featured vendors as well. The evening will conclude with the lucky raffle winner later on tonight. So much going on here at Suits for Seniors. And again, we're going to look at some of the items that are available. There is a bid right now of $500 for the travel with the football team to their first game versus Louisville. So if you've been, if you're kind of excited about the season, which, let's face it, it'll be here before you know it, one of the auction items is being able to travel with the team to that first game versus Louisville. So there's a bid online right now for that. They've got the travel with the team to Marshall, another game that's on the schedule. It's the second game of the season. They've got a Blanton's basket, again, the Tim Tebow jersey, EKU gear baskets, and EKU Stadium club seat is also up for grabs. 2 nights at Boone Tavern over in Berea, 2 nights at a True Hotel here in Richmond. Weekend stay at Lake Cumberland. There's a bid for that. Special Maker's Bottle, a Lexington-branded Maker's Bottle there. A signed EKU football helmet. Millstone dinner with Coach Wells. Sounds cool. And listen, if you've never hung out with Coach Wells, again, you're missing out. Coach Wells is a great time. So much fun to hang out with and be around. So there's a bid out there right now of $75 to have dinner with Coach Walt Wells at the Millstone Social in downtown. There's a Chenault Vineyards wine basket, For Paul's Unleashed basket, Tyler Candle Company, Jillian's Derby hat, a $100 gift card to Apollo's Pizza, and so much more online right now. And don't forget, again, you can give a suit as part of this event. Go online right now, click on that link, courtesy of the live stream. You go on there, and in the comment section, you'll see a link to the EKU Suits for Seniors page. Click on that. You can click in the menu tab, browse the items, and start bidding on some of these great things that are here tonight. If you cannot make it out, that is the best way to get involved. And again, you can purchase a suit for a senior as well. So we're going to pause for just a moment. If you're hanging out with us, we're going to got some guests that we're going to grab here and just hang out with. But this is so much fun. A lot going on at the 2025 Suits for Seniors event. We'll have our first guest when we come back. Here with our first guest at the 2025 Suits for Seniors, and I don't think you need a ton of introduction here, but now for the folks that don't know you, ESPN, you played for Eastern in the mid-'90s,
Yep.
You said. So give us a little bit about yourself and kind of what's going on with you now.
Well, I was a transfer here in the mid-'90s, and little background, everything's about relationships and recruiting, right? Well, at the time, the defensive line coach here was a guy by the name of Jim Tenera.
Okay.
Worked here for decades under Roy Kidd and even after. And his twin brother is my dad's best man in my parents' wedding.
Wow. Okay.
So I've known them. And so I was a starter at Georgia Tech my junior year, had some things shift and needed to find a new destination. And in those days, I had a redshirt year. So
Okay.
I could have gone from Power 5 to Power 5, sat out and still had a year of eligibility, but I just didn't want to wait. I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And at that time, EKU and the Colonels would winning his program in, at that time, Division I AA history,
Yeah.
and still way up there now amongst FCS programs. So it just kind of made sense. And I've told people, I can't tell you how many people I've said this to, and I was very fortunate. I've been a 4-year starter in college, and I've gotten to play on national television. I've gotten to be on College Game Day as a player, and Thursday Night College Football ESPN back when it was a really big deal. I spent 1 year here, and if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have spent all 5 here.
Now, you were here last year, right? And have you come to the 2 previous?
I've come to every one since
Okay.
it started. And, Coach Wells and myself go back late 90s and have always kind of stayed in touch. And then, when he got this job, I kind of just immediately reached out and said, okay, what do we got to do to get this thing back on track? And, then he starts coming up with ideas like this in ways to further enhance not just the exposure of the program, but the ability to have the resources you need to compete.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about college athletics now, is especially in football, is it's always been a money game, but you've got to be able to provide, and you've got to be able to have some unique avenues to make your place special, make your place stand out. And to be honest with you, and I know Coach Stoops up at the University of Kentucky does this, a very similar event here, but this is something that not only is great for fundraising, it's not only great for the program, it's not only great for camaraderie and bring guys like myself and others back, but what it also does is you're now providing guys who are from their junior to their senior year are starting to approach the end of their college career, and guess what? They're going to go out in the real world, they're going to get a real job. And so the ability to outfit those guys, put them in a position to present themselves well. I know there's a job fair that goes along with this thing.
This morning.
This morning. And so, to me, that's what it's all about. So you prepare yourself to be the best version of you and to be able to raise the funds and provide that. And listen, the vast majority of guys, they don't have the ability to go out and spend $800, $1,000, $1,500 on a suit. So the cause of it, I just think it's outstanding.
Now, you talked about your relationship with Coach Wells. You said dated back to the late 90s. Talk about that and kind of how your all's relationship started. And, you talked about being close with him today. And obviously, to me, I've gotten to know a lot of the coaches with our business and what we do here.
Yeah.
But he is such a good salesman. I mean, and that's what I feel like you've got to be nowadays with the portal and everything else, because not only are you selling the community on supporting your team, you're selling your program to, prospects and things like that coming out of high school. Now you got to keep your own players. You got to sell your team on staying within the university. And I know players come and players go, but I think that is what he is really good at, is promoting the university. And he's an old school coach, and I think that's why he has been so successful here.
Well, he's always been acutely aware and embraced the history and tradition here. And obviously that's tied to Coach Roy Kidd, right? Yeah. And he had an opportunity to come here towards the latter portion of Coach Kidd's tenure. And it's interesting because our old athletic dorm that we used to live in, O'Donnell Hall, that was actually his first home on this campus.
Wow, okay.
He had just gotten married, and at that time you had a GA, or what we called restricted earnings coaches, and they lived there. And they were in charge of keeping us all in line, right? And so, he was.
I can't imagine Coach being that.
I don't know if he had a lot of success doing that. And so, I think that, when you're starting your career as he did as a coach, and you're under the tutelage of a guy like Roy Kidd, all right, and the performance of this program, the sustained consistency and success in championship level play, it puts a guy like Coach, when he moved on to the next step and the next step, because that's what the coaching profession is, right? Yeah. You're going to bounce around, you're going to go to different places, you're going to draw different philosophies and different ways of skinning a cat, and then all of a sudden you realize there's an opportunity out there to kind of come home, right? And at a place like EKU, we don't have to sell tradition here, right? We don't have to sell history here. But to your point, what you do have to do now is that's not enough. You have to get creative. You have to expand your staff. You got to be able to fund facilities upgrades. You've got to be able to put on events just like this that did not exist 5 years ago. And so I think, I've always appreciated how much stock he's put into this program, because he knows how much it means to so many people. And I'm somebody that got to play here 1 year. As I told you, I wish I could have played all 5. My son is named after my starting center here at EKU.
Wow,
right?
Okay.
Who was the best man in my wedding. I mean, so I have a very, very soft spot in my heart for this place as a program. I want to see it succeed. Obviously, whenever we can do anything to help promote this program, I know I speak for lots of other guys, we're going to do it, because we want to see this program getting back to quarterfinal appearances, semifinal appearances, and it's doable. And they took a big step last year. To me, I think that he's embraced and understands what it takes. Of course, are there challenges? Yes, there are. More so now in college athletics, not just college football, than there has ever been in the last 45 years. It's a challenge.
You talked about, so your position now, you work at ESPN. Talk about kind of what you do there and kind of how maybe EKU helps set you up for that role that you're in now.
Well, it's interesting. I kind of took a different path. I was a sociology major with a business management minor and a sports administration master's degree, and I spent my first 10, 11 years in professional life in the coaching and scouting profession. I never had any intention to get into broadcast media. I don't have a journalism background, none of those sorts of things. And, towards the latter part of my coaching career, I really started to get into the player personnel and player evaluation side. And I happened to be working for a company, and ESPN at that time had contracted us out to do some behind-the-scenes work for college football in the National Football League. Nothing on air, nothing related to that. It was behind-the-scenes advanced scouting work that we would provide for, at the time, people who were on air. Well, after doing this for a couple of years, myself and a handful of others, one of them was Todd McShay, we were all working together. This would have been in 2004. Somebody at ESPN finally said, you know what? Can you guys do the TV part? Because right now you're doing all the work. And if you can present it, it could be a great opportunity. And so I ended up coming on board late winter of 2004, early 2005. So I'm just completing my 20th year at ESPN. And then things just kind of developed into something that I never saw coming. Just an interesting path. But I had a background as the son of a college coach. I had a background as a player. I had a background in scouting, and I had a background in coaching. So from an analysis standpoint,
you got it all.
I was able to bring some things. And then, obviously, when you're in this world, you got to be able to present. You've got to be able to obviously be on your game, know your stuff, cover the sport inside and out. And so that started for me with the coverage of recruiting and player evaluation, which then led into carrying over into college football, which is now morphed into, doing NFL draft stuff. I broadcast the UFL and spring professional football. I have the last 4 years. And so, you just try to wear as many hats as you can. And I tell guys all the time, and it's this way in football. Like, if there's a player that you're recruiting and you're evaluating and he plays 3 different sports in 2 different positions, and you're looking at him and another guy that doesn't play any other sports and he plays one position, guess which guy you're taking, right? And that's how I've kind of always looked at my career. And so I
Jack of all trades.
That's the whole thing. And I had an older coach tell me one time. He said, "Listen, you need to decide something. You're going to start a family. You don't have kids yet. You just got married." Actually, I was engaged at the time, and he said, if you can do something else outside of the coaching profession, you might want to think long and hard about doing it, because it's very difficult on you. Yeah. It's pressure packed. It's very difficult on the family.
Traveling and
all of it. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, and the families that get involved in it need to be able to accept that, right? And it's hard. He goes, but if you find that you can't live without it, and you have to do it, then you better do it, because you won't be happy doing anything else. Well, and I found out the happy medium for me was I didn't have to be on the field or on the coaching side of it. I found out, and I put myself through about 6 months of saying, okay, you're working out of your home. You're doing nothing but putting, at that time, DVDs and beta tapes into the machines and just watching tape and writing reports and grading players. And I realized, you know what? I'm good with this. I could do this. And then it provides more stability, the ability to be around your children more.
And still keeps you involved in the game you love.
Keeps you involved in the game. And then the broadcasting thing was just icing on the cake.
Yeah. And so you talked about being at ESPN now, and obviously we're in the heart of the NFL draft going on tonight. What do you think, as far as EKU players or players that are, Austin P, other schools that are in the same conference with the Eastern and some of the smaller schools, what is the key to kind of making yourself stick out? Because there's a lot of really good players. There's a kid, I think, at Central Arkansas that's a projected high draft pick. And there's a lot of names out there that are going to be called. But what do you think needs to happen for these guys to be able to make it to that level?
Well, unfortunately, one of the things that might need to happen is a negative when it comes to FCS level football, Division II level football. And that is when you go out and you identify a player as a member of a coaching staff, you recruit that player, you sign that player, and you develop that player and he becomes really good, guess what?
Yeah.
He's gone, get him, right? And so now, you always hear about coaching mottos and philosophies, and it used to be, okay, we'll recruit and develop, right? Well, now it's recruit, develop, retain.
Yeah.
And the retention part of it's the hardest part of it, because not everybody's playing with the same dollar bills, right? Yeah. Not everybody has the same available resources. So you're going to see a lot of guys that develop at different rates, and they decide to either stay at a place like EKU or North Dakota State or Montana or wherever it is, or they're going to go. And that creates challenges now for guys like Walt Wells and his staff and various other programs. But listen, I've always been a big believer, and we're in this whole world of name, image, and likeness right now. And name, image, and likeness is based off of value and marketability. Okay, well, what makes you marketable and what gives you value? Performance. That's what gives you that. If you perform, the name, image, and likeness part of it will take care of itself. And players at all levels need to understand that. And that doesn't mean that if you're a really good player at EKU or you're a really good player at Murray State or what have you, doesn't mean you got to leave and go somewhere else. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the answer, that the grass is going to be greener on the other side.
A lot of big names out there.
There's a lot of guys out there, and listen, there's very few roster spots. Yeah. And everybody always tends to think that grass is greener on the other side, and sometimes they're not getting the best advice either. And you see guys make mistakes, and then they can't take it back. Yeah. And so what you'd hope is those guys that you did develop and you did recruit and you generated that genuine relationship with them, that there's something on their side that says, you know what, I'm going to stick it out here. Yeah. And listen, it may not be for $700,000 like it would be at LSU or this and that, but if it's something because the program has resources due to events and things like we're doing right here, then it's going to at least be presented to the prospect and to the player to say, hey, listen, we want to keep you here. Yeah. All right, and this is what we can do. Obviously, there's going to be things we can't do, and that's just the reality of the coaching world right now.
Well, and I think, too, you could be – you talked about LSU. We'll just say if Eastern had a guy, okay, that was the guy. Yeah. You can go down, and again, the history of this program, all the things that have happened with EKU football in the past – you could be a legend here or go just be another guy at LSU. No,
absolutely.
There are, and that's what I think as fans, we got to try to support these players and come out to events like this. But I think that's one thing that Coach Wells is really good at, the loyalty factor. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been a guy that's came back to this program because of
Sure.
what it meant to him. And I think that's why it makes him a perfect coach to be here right now in this new era that we're in of college football. When you look at Richmond as a whole, it's obviously changed a lot since when you were here. What is your favorite part about coming back? I mean, is there a restaurant you got to go eat at? Is there just some friends you want to hang out with? Is there a place that you used to go to when you were on campus that you want to go back and see?
Well, I'll say this: the downtown has changed significantly.
It's changed a lot in the last year.
And particularly in the last 25 or 30. But I would tell you, if there was a place that is near and dear to all of our hearts as players, former players here, it would be Madison Gardens.
Okay.
And, Tom and Steve Thilman, who've owned that place since its inception in 1982, always treated us so well. And I can't tell you the amount of stories that myself and my guys, we still talk about. Remember that time we were getting on the bus at Murray and Tom and Steve are out there and just the support in those guys. And I can remember going on Monday nights and going into the Colonel Dome, sitting up on the upper deck. We watched Monday Night Football, and there's no better wings anywhere on the planet in my estimation. So you have those memories, right? But then you also, to me, every time I drive down the middle of downtown Richmond and I look right and I see the top dog.
Oh, yeah.
And I see the dog there, and it just breaks my heart. I was like, how has that not been somehow rehabilitated, reopened? Because it would be just a monster. And you want all the other athletes and the football players and everybody to experience it the same way I did. And that we all did. And now I understand it's a different era and it's a different time. But, my son's a long snapper here, and I used to joke. He's like, why is this place so important? I said, you're going to be here for however long you're here, and then you're going to come away from here, and 10 years from now, you're going to have your own place that feels that way for you about Richmond. And it may not be the Garden. That's fine. But I said, you'll understand at some point. You just don't get it right now.
Well, and there's so many legendary stories about the 80s and the 90s and EKU Party School. And you were right there in the middle of it.
Oh, man. I'll never forget on my recruiting visit, we're driving right by the dog, and there's that little package store that's right across the street from it.
Yeah.
And I'm from Southern California, right? I'd been to Georgia Tech, but I'd grown up on the West Coast. I'd never seen a package store where you could drive through. I'm sitting there going, what in the world is? I mean, that stuff was kind of foreign and unique to me, but you're right. I mean, I can name off the places, Tazwell's, the Cherry Pit. I mean, all these different spots that the dog, as we talked about, that were all just burned into our mind as part of the experience here.
Did you get a chance to come back to the dog when they had it open for homecoming?
I didn't.
A few years
it was
ago?
on homecoming weekend, and of course, I've got college football to broadcast, and that's the challenge for me. And what makes an event like this, what makes spring football tomorrow great for me, is I don't get to see my son in a football setting.
Yeah.
And Walton allowed me to come out to practice the other day and just kind of shoot the breeze and watch practice. But that to me is really cool because I won't get to see things in the fall.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by and talking to us. This event is great. I'm sure there's a lot of folks you want to go catch up to and talk with a little bit. So we'll let you get back to it. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely,
Mr. Luke and Bill. And so ESPN, I mean, what would you say your title is? You do a little bit of everything there, right? I mean,
so my technical title is I'm the National Director of Recruiting, which means I head up the scouting department for high school prospects going into college. But from a television perspective, I'm a college football broadcaster in studio and remote games, and then, like I said, dipping into the UFL a little bit. Because the one thing, talk about being a jack of all trades, and it's no different than any other profession. The more you can do, the more valuable you are. When I start seeing kids in recruiting at 14, 15, 16 years old, and then they're standing up on that podium last night, and then maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, they don't make it, and next thing you know, I'm doing a UFL game. I'm going, I remember that kid when he was 17 years old. That stuff becomes pretty helpful.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to talking to you more.
Absolutely.
We'll
Thanks for
pause
having
for just
me.
a minute, Gage. We'll be right back at Suits for Seniors 2025. Welcome back out to Suits for Seniors 2025. And my guy John Laverne up there on stage right now doing his thing. And if you're coming out to this event, come on out, hang out with us, talk to, hey, bring on Ryan Jackson. We got Ryan Jackson, EKU Colonel, Eternal Colonel. I know you're no stranger to putting this thing on. We'll come on over here. We'll get you in the shot with us and chat a little bit about this event. I know you have experienced this very recently and know what it means to kind of go through this Suits for Seniors event. This kind of started while you were in school.
Right.
So talk
right.
about that and kind of, what were the discussions? Did Coach talk to you guys about it whenever you all were first starting it out?
A little bit, yes. Coach Wells does a great job with the Suits for Senior event. I learned most of it from my dad, who's participated in this event before, but definitely being on the other side of it. It's such a big event, such a huge event for Eastern, and to get all the people of Richmond around each other in a very fun environment is awesome.
Talk about the process of going through, getting the measurements and picking out the suit, and kind of what did your suit look like?
Oh, my suit's nice. I can't lie. It's
I'm
a
sure,
blue
I'm
one,
sure.
got a beer color in the middle.
Okay.
The process, seamless, timeless. They made plenty of time out for each one of us to come in, come out. We even got to see some of each other's suits before the thing happened, but they had all types of colors, all type of prints. It was amazing. Having the chance to be able to make something custom for you that you love, that you wanted, that
kind of a one of a kind, right?
Yeah, that you got to personally pick yourself, and it's amazing. And I thank Eastern for all opportunities.
Not only the suit, but the reverse job fair and things like that. Was there anything that stuck out to you during the job fair?
Yeah, actually, plenty of businesses like to show up and like to embrace what their business is about, and they like having colonels on their staff. So I think it's awesome. Being on the other side of it this year, I actually went and saw some of my friends' resumes, and they had the resume workshop, and see how professionally they prepared are, and to see how that's progressed from first time I saw it was my sophomore year when I wasn't even doing the event, to having 4, 5, 6 tables, to when I finally got to do it my junior year, 20-something odd tables, plenty of businesses, to even today. A couple guys got a good chance, got great conversations with all types of businesses. It's an amazing opportunity that we can't take advantage of.
So did you get to graduate in the winter? Did you graduate?
Yeah, I've already graduated.
You're done. So what are you doing now? Talk about that.
I'm actually in the first leg of my master's program.
Okay.
I'm still here at Eastern, loving it. Had some stuff happen to me in football, but past that, I'm about to start coaching. One of my passions. My master's was in sports management. My major is in sports administration. And while I'm still around, Coach Wells and Coach Johnson, they were, luckily enough, they didn't want to kick off a 2-time captain from their staff.
Sure.
So I guess I come in, make an impact, get started on my coaching career, and see where it takes me.
So you talked about your coaching career. I volunteered to coach my son's little Pee Wee football team. First year doing it, I was just telling Gail, we come on the air. We had practice last night, and it's like, I want to pull my hair out.
Right.
I mean, you have situations like that. Yours are obviously the kids are a lot older, but talk about something that you learned as a player under Coach Wells. Your dad obviously taught you a lot as well about the game that you really want to give back to let to kind of showcase, hey, this is a really fun game. If you take it serious enough, you can go far with it. And just talk about kind of what it taught you.
I feel like one great quote that Coach Wells used that I keep referring to and I keep bringing back and I keep bringing it to the new guys is sometimes it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Yeah. We all wear the EKU Colonel name, and we all represent that in our own different ways. It might not be your fault that your friend messed up. It might not be your fault that stuff's not going your exact way, but it is your responsibility to try and change that. It is your responsibility to try and take charge in that. It is your responsibility on and on and on. I mean, I feel like that's a great message for any guy trying to not only better themselves as a football player, but to better themselves as a man. Like sometimes it's really not your fault stuff isn't going your way, but you can be the one to make it start going better.
I do a lot of different things. I always say, look, you can do everything right. Sometimes the cards or the chips or whatever you want to say just don't fall your way. Right. So that happens a lot, and we talked about it. We look back at that Nova game. I mean, how often does that play back in your head? The no call or the calls that didn't go your way. Right. The fumble that was it a fumble? Was it whatever the case might be? Talk about that. How often do you look back and remember that game?
I feel like when you look back at that game, you miss all the other history that we had.
Yeah.
I feel like one thing our group did, not only have people that stay for a university 4+ years, we formed what's really a team and a really love and a real bond for each other, where I still call some of these people today to where we can still hang out and all that. But the Villanova game specifically, every time the film comes up, we have to bring back some clips because we had some really, really great clips and teach tape stuff that we need to show our guys that this is our type of football. This is how we want to play. This is our brand of football. If you look at that Villanova game, the one thing you can never tell me is that we quit and that we weren't tough.
For sure.
We tried our hearts off in that game to play for the next level. And that's what we did for each other. We worked hard for each other.
I think, if somebody was to ask me, Mount Rushmore, give me you, Shane Burks, Tucker Schroeder, guys like that Mike Smith. Like that would be the four I think I would pick, because you guys talking to you over the last 3 or 4 years and getting to know you and just seeing your personality, the loyalty that you gave back to my alma mater, that's going to stick out to me, because you guys had plenty of opportunities to go somewhere else. You stuck it out here, and you made some big things happen. And now you get to come out and kind of, take a part of in events like this. Is there somebody you're looking forward to seeing tonight? Is there anybody that, you talked to that, I can't wait to kind of catch up with them this evening?
I'm always looking forward to seeing my coaches in a different light.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
been one of the more exciting things about me, seeing them as more people than just coaches. But I've met pretty much everyone in here. I think them getting to meet me as a professional instead of them meeting me as a player would be different for a good experience for
What's
all of
Dad
us.
doing tonight? Is he back home?
Man, he's back home. He's him and my mom hanging out for the night.
There you go.
They watching the draft, big time stuff. Hopefully Mike Smith gets picked up this I don't know about tonight, but someday.
Yeah, that's what we were talking to Luke and Bill about there. He was like, I think Jaden Higgins, former teammate of yours, will probably go tonight at some point. And we're hoping Mike gets that name called and joins Josiah from last year, getting his name called in the NFL draft. Ryan, pleasure talking to you, my man. Good luck. And if you ever want to hop on the mic, you know where we're at. You come find us, all right?
I'm always down. I'm a camera guy.
There you go. Hey, the camera loves you, right? All right, Gage, we're going to step aside again. Folks, lots going on here at Suits for Seniors 2025 edition. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with more from this event at Chenault Vineyards. Back here at the 2025 Suits for Seniors, Michael Watkins now along with Chuck Harden. And Chuck, 4th year for this event, 2nd year at Chenault Vineyards, and you've been a big part of this thing, kind of helping getting it organized over the last few years, and it just keeps getting bigger and better. Obviously, it's another great turnout here tonight as well.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it this year. Another great turnout. great event, providing suits for the seniors and providing money for the athletic budget for football. But the community support behind the event and Coach Wells is great, and we continue to look forward to it every year and look forward to trying to make it better every year. So,
I was talking to somebody today, and they were talking about this event. I was like, football will be here before you know it. I mean, it's in the blink of an eye. I feel like as soon as football season's over, we go through basketball season, we go through baseball and softball, and then football, bam, we're already back at it. It's a few months away. We'll be talking about the guys getting out there for fall practice and everything else. But when you talk about this event, it's all about giving back to the players that have gone through the last couple of years. The juniors and seniors, they go through that reverse job fair and things like that. They get the customized suits. And Walt Wells on a very personal level. Talk about him and his passion for not only the football program, but his players and how much he wants to give back to them and see them succeed.
That's how the event got started 4 years ago. Coach has been around the SEC and other places, knew what they did to help the kids out, and he wanted to continue doing that locally. So he came up with this event to provide the suits for the seniors, obviously, to be able to use during the season for their interviews. But he also provides them, like you said, the job fair, brings in a lot of employers across the state. A bunch of the employees have been hired locally through that. And, he looks forward to, like I said, he's community engaged. He wants to give back to the community, but he also wants to have the community come in and support his players. So he tries to bring everybody in for the event, which is great. And by the support you see at this event with the turnout from the community, it shows they support the event and helps provide those suits for the seniors, which is special for those kids because a lot of them have never had a customized suit before.
And these things are nice. They're not just something you throw together. They take the time, Cuff to Collar Downtown does, to kind of sit with them, help them pick out what they like, get them measured. Because, listen, I've bought jackets before, or I bought a suit before where it doesn't look the best on me. It can be loose or too tight or whatever the case might be. But they do a great job of making sure these guys get what makes them look good, and they look like $1 million when they come out of it.
I agree. Very professional look. Cuff to Collar does a great job providing them with a suit, the shirts and ties, and the whole 9 yards to go with it. So once they come out of there and get the whole package, they're ready for a job interview and to go out on a job wearing that. You could be a banker like Justin Dixon at CG Bank.
I don't think we'd never be that nice. I don't think we never looked that good.
I don't know. I think they actually probably dress better than Justin.
Yeah, that's
CG,
true. That's true. Well, Justin's face is what takes away from the suit with him. Hopefully he's not here watching or hearing me say that. But no, you talk about suits for seniors, and in the day and age that we're in college football, there is so much more that goes on with the NIL, which is what you and Zach are so much involved with taking care of your players in different avenues that you couldn't really do before. Can you touch on that real quick and just talk about, how if folks want to get involved in other ways? I mean, obviously you want to get back to the program, but the NIL and things like that are a way to do that as well.
You're correct, and obviously in today's world, it's about taking care of the player, and the university and coach does it through the suits for seniors, and then the local businesses that we go out to help support them through the NIL money. Jack Burford Chevrolet is a big sponsor. Apollo Pizza is a big sponsor of the NIL. Millstone, Madison Gardens. A lot of local businesses. Jerry Goebel State Farm helped with their Super Bowl party with a putting contest. So a lot of local people. Mike Rice, everybody's contributed locally. So I could go through 20 to 30 names of local businesses that also help support the NIL, but it's just not businesses. Individual donors can donate in, and they can tell us if they want it for football, which that's what we're here for tonight. But, it doesn't have to be football. We do all the other sports too. So, and we're happy to assist with that and happy to help the university, and kind of looking forward to seeing how the NIL goes now, if this House settlement gets approved, and how the in-house money compares to the out-of-pocket money through the private collectives.
When you look at, you talked about NIL and things like that, I always say, listen, I know people that go to a ton of games. If you want to go watch a team that can compete and that can win championships, and you've got some money laying around you don't know what to do with, that's the best way to do it, because you're going to go to the games. You give some NIL money, that might help bring in a recruit or bring in a top-tier player, and then you're going to go watch them on Saturdays play football, or during the season watch them play women's or men's basketball. This is what you're giving back to make the team better, and then you're going to go be out there watching them play anyway.
You're correct. It does help bring in better talent, but it also, main thing we've been able to do here is keep a lot of the talent that we bring in. So a lot of our NIL money goes to players that could go somewhere else, and we're able to actually, by giving them some money here, we've had several players turn down a lot of money elsewhere to stay here because of the program. They like what Coach Wells has built. They like the program. They like how we're moving forward. So, but they still expect some NIL money and still need NIL money. I mean, they're college kids. They need money to survive on and do other stuff. So the NIL money helps with every aspect of that, depending on, and the money differs depending on the quality of the player too, obviously. But you're right. It helps us keep players, but it also helps us bring recruits in.
Exactly.
So,
we appreciate you stopping by, my man. We're going to bring over Dak. Come on, Dak. Get on here with us real quick. We'll let Dak take over that headset from you, Chuck, and we'll keep this thing going. We'll talk to another player that kind of took part. Thank you, Mr. Harden, for stopping by and talking to us. Dak, step on in here. We were just talking to Ryan Jackson, former teammate of yours, about this event. Pull that a little bit closer for me. There you go. We got to be able to hear you, man. We talk about this thing. But listen, you went through Suits for Seniors. You got the customized suit. You know what it's all about. You're now working at Jack Burford Chevrolet. Talk about how this event and playing for Coach Wells and how it kind of prepared you for life after football.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, football doesn't last forever. And, not a lot of FCS programs, I feel, do this. Yeah. So I feel like that's a big step that we have going on at Eastern. And it's really cool. You get to go, get fitted. And, I got 2 shirts, a jacket, and some pants. And I obviously still wear it to this day. I wore my shirt today to work.
Okay, there you go.
So I think it's really cool. Like I said, not a lot of people get to experience it, especially at the FCS level. But it really prepares you for life after football. Yeah. Especially, not a lot of people, for whatever reason, different situations growing up and stuff. Not a lot of people have suits like that.
Yeah, or especially these nice ones that you are getting.
Yeah, and so I just think it helps kids out, whether you go on to play in the NFL or not. I just think it's a great thing that we have going on.
You went through the reverse job fair thing that they do that took place this morning. When you went through that as a player, did you think you would end up where you're at now?
I did not. No. Obviously, I had my sights set on the NFL.
Yeah.
Got hurt there, recovered, and still had a shot. And going through the job fair, I didn't really think too much of it at the time.
Had bigger plans.
But
and listen, you talked about your injury. I remember being on the field when you was ACL, right? Yeah. And I was like, man, I thought we were done. And obviously when the song went on and made the playoffs, but that was gut-wrenching because that class and getting to know you, before the season, getting to talk to you guys, there was something special there with you and the group that you all had that year.
Yeah, we had a tight-knit group. Did a lot of stuff off the field. Obviously, the seniors, we did a ton of stuff. And then this event, that was fun to get together with all the guys that I came in with and experience that and, see the different colors and everything that people went with. Get your name engraved on the jacket and things like that. So, I couldn't ask for anything more.
What was your favorite part about playing at Eastern?
Honestly, just think the memories I built and the friendships that I built. Leaving high school, it's kind of, you don't know what to expect, really.
You're from what, Tennessee, right?
No, Ohio. Cincinnati,
okay.
So, leaving high school, you got all your high school buddies, and, I still have them to this day. But then you kind of get on your own, and you're out your parents' house, and you kind of got to fend for yourself a little bit and kind of find new ropes and new ways. But, I've gained a handful of good friends and great teammates. Tucker, Shane, DB, Reese. So I've got brothers for a lifetime, and obviously that's off the field, but on the field, just the memories we made, the conference championships, and just all the adversity that we went through. It was just great to be a part of.
Coach Wells is a person that I talk to a lot, and he's very personable. He's all business on the field, but off the field, he's a guy that you can talk to. I feel like he can cut up with you, but he also knows when to flip the switch and be more of an advice person or things like that. Talk about your experience with him before I let you.
Yeah, I mean.
Sorry.
I know if I need anything, I can give him a call, and he'll pick up the phone and answer. And it's 3 a.m. 6 and 7 in the afternoon, he'll answer and help.
Chenault Vineyards. Here with the guy that kind of started this thing, Coach. This was your idea. I talked about how you and Jennifer wanted to kind of give back to your players.
Right.
And this is, I mean, did you ever, I think I asked you the same question last year. It has really taken off. I mean, it's so much fun seeing all these faces and the folks come out and support your program.
Well, it's huge. I mean, there's so many people that have helped us along the way, and this thing's grown and grown and gotten bigger and bigger. Thanks to Chenault Winery here that's allowed us to come out and have this party here.
Yeah.
It's for a great cause, for our seniors. We had a reverse job fair today. Had about 25 employers there that were interviewing our young men, and went in there and watched them a little bit. And it was fun to see, the younger ones a little nervous, the older ones that have been through it one or two times, understand what's going on. And so, you're going to go pro in something, hopefully football, but if not, you got to be ready to go. And so this is a great opportunity for our young people to have that. And then for the people that support this event, it's amazing. Our incredible committee, starting with the chair, Kim Davis, Jack Taylor, has done a lot of work, and then Judge Harden has done a tremendous amount of work. And then you got Dan Brezowitz and Jeff Griffith, who are on our staff that have really stepped up. They let me step out this year.
Focus on the football.
And
right?
I've kind of, set the vision for it for 3 years, and this is the 4th year, and they've done a great job of expanding and making it better.
I was talking to Ryan Jackson, we got Dak Allen on the broadcast as well, and they were talking about their suits. And I think that's you talk about suits for seniors, you think about it, but these things are customized to what they want, and that's
right.
why it makes them so special. Ryan talked about the color of his. Dak talked about the different shirts that he wore one today to work, and I think that's you don't really think about it, but it's your suit. You get to customize it and make it look like how you want to look. And Cuff the Collar does a great job.
They do. Cuff the Collar has been a great partner with us, and they do a great job. They take good care of us. You're a football player. You better not be able to order right off the rack.
Yeah.
And look good. And so they can look good when they go there and feel good about themselves. Hopefully Mike Smith's wearing his at his draft party this weekend, and Peyton Collins and all the other seniors that are involved in that this weekend. But it's just been great, and Cuff the Collar does a great job. I mean, I've got Cuff the Collar shirt on, and they do a tremendous job in what they do, and so we're thankful to have them as a partner.
If folks are seeing this now, tomorrow they got no plans, or they're like, well, what are we going to do tomorrow? We got the spring game tomorrow. We'll talk about that, and it starts at 3. The gates open, I think, at 1. The game will start at 3. There's some fun things taking place, and listen, this is an event where you can get out and tailgate if you're kind of chopping at the bit for some football. Right. This is a great way to come out and enjoy some of that.
And we've got a small kids clinic afterwards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things to do that you can bring your family out. Looking at the weather, it's not going to be raining. It's going to maybe be cloudy, but it's not going to be raining. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing our guys. We pretty much wrapped everything up. It's just going to be a run through. We know there might be certain teams that are 2 hours to the east and 2 hours to the west that may come over and try to I spy us.
Okay.
So we'll keep most of it vanilla, but that's college football today, and so we're excited about our players. I'm really excited about spring practice. I thought we had a great spring practice. Really proud of our young men because we challenged them in a lot of areas, and through the GPS units that we have and all that, they've really, you can tell that they've brought it to a different level. I mean, the times are higher, the workloads are higher, the explosive efforts are higher, and so I'm really proud of them. And knock on wood, hopefully nothing happens tomorrow, but we've been pretty much injury free. And so I've really enjoyed spring practice.
One of the things that I've noticed is, looking back at the 2 other scrimmages that you've had, a lot of different names getting involved on both sides of the ball and making an impact in the spring.
Well, we lost 24 people last year, so there better be.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to our coaches and the development of the guys that we brought in from high school. And then, again, a credit to our coaches for recruiting and bringing in some transfer players that have made a difference. And so I'm excited about that. I can't sit here and tell you there's a guy out there that I haven't there's guys I'm disappointed in some of their growth maybe, but most of the guys I'm very excited about.
Yeah, so we'll let you get here and kind of mingle. There's a lot of folks that want to talk to you about everything that's going on, but this event, and you talk about, starting with the cocktail hour, the great food, the live band, the silent auction, the live auction, the reverse raffle. This is a very big deal for your program. And talking to some of the other folks, they were like, there are other FCS programs that do things, but not to this level.
I think this is a Power 5 type, Power 4, or whatever we call it now, type event. I mean, I think that is what we're trying to get out of this. First of all, again, with the job fair, trying to help them get a leg up and understand how to interview. And they can make mistakes there, and it's not going to crush them in a real interview.
Correct.
Number 2, give them the opportunity to look like they need to look like when they walk in on an interview. You may want to dress the way you want to dress, and that may be okay, but the people hiring you may not like that. So you got to think about those things. And we've had training from people throughout the last 2 months that have helped them with that from the university. So really proud of that. And then, like you said, I mean, the cocktail hour, the live and silent auction items, the maroon funds here set up. I mean, we got a flight of Pappy, we got a flight of Weller. It's all online. We send it out to everybody. People are ordering. And hopefully we'll raise enough money that we can make a difference in not only our suits but also help with our program out because inflation's killing everything. I mean, going to a hotel and staying at night for a travel game is extremely expensive. And we don't pay for that here. I'm not saying that, but it eats up your budget is what I'm trying to say. And so we have to do outside things to do that. This is the one event that we do. We had Giving Day, I think it was 2 days ago.
Yeah, Thursday, or Wednesday, yeah.
My understanding is we set some records. I think some of the money from this has already been deposited in that, so it made it look like that too. But, just proud of the people involved in that. And I think that speaks to our coaches that live in Richmond and are out in the community, to our players. I think they've, for the most part, I mean, they're 18 to 22-year-olds. They're going to screw up, but for the most part are acting the way they should act out in public. And I think that creates some pride in their football program here in Richmond.
Well, you talked about the different silent auction items. If you're watching, folks, the link to scan the items is on a comment on the live stream. So if you look in the comments section, you'll find that link. Click on it. You can get involved. Even if you can't come out here tonight, or if you're not coming out tonight, you can bid online for some of these silent auction items. And there's a ton of different things in there.
Michael, you were just asking me for a shirt, and there's two baskets up there of gear.
Well, listen, here's what I heard. A little birdie told me that Samantha Burford is here tonight with John's credit card, and he's not even in Kentucky. So we might be bidding on everything, and then we'll just write John's name on it. You can just swipe the card.
I'm out on that. What happens on John's credit card stays on John's credit card, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Coach, always a pleasure talking to you. Big night tonight, big day tomorrow for the program, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow as well.
I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all you do for us, man. You get the message out there for us. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's what we're here for, folks. Listen again, check it out. Suits for Seniors online. Come out tomorrow and support the team at the spring game. A great weekend for EKU football. Thanks for joining us here at the 2025 Suits for Seniors here at Chenault Vineyards.